Hello, I'm Emmeline.
And I'm Kindy.
And welcome to Stuff with Moms, a podcast about shows, stories, and enjoying life.
Stuff with Moms. I was going to do that with my name, but I thought that might have been too out there. I don't know. Anyway.
That was the best.
Just being weird. What'd you do this week?
The whole time we lived in Wyoming, we didn't have live TV, right? We just had a couple of streaming services that we'd watch.
Oh, okay.
And that was when we watched TV, that's what we would do. Since we've come here, we've had live TV. And so we've been able to watch the shows that we enjoy, like Jeopardy is one of our favorites.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kyle and I have been watching Wheel of Fortune, and then we watch Jeopardy afterwards. And Kyle's really good at both of them. Of course. Every once in a while, I'll get the Wheel of Fortune, but it's like 90% of the time he gets it, and 2% of the time I get it, and the other 8% he just doesn't get it. In Jeopardy, he gets pretty much all the answers, but there was this one that he didn't know any, and I knew the whole category.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What category was it?
It was horses.
Well, of course.
Of course.
It'd be a shame if you didn't know those.
But I was like, yes, I just got all those. I was so proud of myself. And he never, like, when he gets them all, because he usually gets them all, he isn't like, ha, that was awesome. But I guess because I get them so infrequently, when I do get some, I'm like, I party hard, I guess.
Do you ever go, in your face?
Yeah. And at the end, we quote unquote bet all of our money or some of it or none of it. Every once in a while, he'll bet all of it, but most of the time he's like, none of it. And then he gets it anyway. And I'm always like, all of it. And I don't get it.
Yeah.
He's so conservative, and I'm a risk taker. It's a good thing I'm not on any of those shows. I'd be like, I can do it, I can win, and I'd lose all the money that I'd somehow gotten if they have all horse sections, I guess. Whenever, like, Teen Jeopardy is on, I'm like, oh, I'm a genius, I know all of these.
They have Teen Jeopardy?
They used to. I don't know. I guess I haven't seen it in so long. Maybe they don't do that anymore.
I didn't even knew it existed.
I haven't seen it in so long, but it's been fun, so.
I've always enjoyed, like, how you have to answer.
In the form of a question.
Yeah. So you always have to say, what is quarter horse? Or, you know, whatever the answer is. I always got a kick out of the way they would do that.
Yeah. We had a fun week of watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy.
Yeah, that's nice. My favorite game show is the one, and I cannot think of what it's called, but it's where you guess prices of things.
Price is Right?
Yeah.
I love it. I like that one.
Yeah, that one's my favorite. I can't do the ones where you have to think. I just am not smart in that aspect of my life where it's like, I know facts. I don't. I know nothing about nothing. But I can guess prices.
Kyle, when we play like Trivia Pursuit, there's one section that I'm good at, and he's good at all the other ones. If we're on a team together, we do pretty good most of the time. He completes me.
Oh.
Name that movie. Although that isn't the actual quote. I think it's You Complete Me.
I want to say Jerry Maguire.
I think that is what it is.
I think so. There's a lot of good quotes. It's an odd movie, but it's a lot of good quotes. It's been a while since I've seen it. I was talking to a client, and he's like, that's the best movie ever. We got on the topic of movies for some reason.
Right. And Jerry Maguire came up. So how was your week?
It was good. It was interesting. I went out on a work trip, and I was super excited, and I felt all hoity-toity. And then halfway through the first day and the rest of the second day, I was like, I'm done. I'm ready to go home. This is not fun anymore. It was nice to have some alone time. Although I didn't really have enough time to just kind of do my own thing because we had a dinner that we went to with everybody. There was one person who didn't go, and I wish I was another person that didn't go because after the first day, I was so exhausted. I was like, I don't want to socialize with anyone, but we did. But it was really good. We went to Shanahan's, and it's like one of those restaurants where the meat, you pay its own price, and then, so it was kind of like a Ruth's Chris.
I don't know what a Ruth's Chris is.
Oh, okay. So it's a steak restaurant.
Okay.
And you order your protein and then your sides are a separate cost. Like it doesn't come with it. Like the price that you see next to your main course or your meats or whatever is its own price. And then your sides are like $12 to $16 for one side. Okay. And so if you want multiple sides, then, it's going to be pretty pricey.
Okay.
But it tasted better, I felt. Oh, it was so good though. Man, it was so good. And we got a dessert called s'mores brownie.
Oh, that's the picture you sent me.
Yeah, they reminded me of your brother in the episode that he went through on Bad at Magic to talk about the different variations of s'mores and like how he rated them and stuff. So it was brownie, ice cream, marshmallows, and graham crackers that was on it.
Yum.
And it was so good.
That sounds yummy.
Yeah, it was very yummy. Apparently, so Shanahan is the NFL coach, and he won the NFL one year. I don't remember what. So they had a replica of that trophy, and they brought it into our room, and everybody went crazy for it and was taking pictures with it. So that was kind of cool. Apparently we spent enough for them to bring that into our room. Cool. Because there was about 15 or 16 of us, and they brought it in.
Cool.
Anyway, so that was fun. It was nice to come home. And
how many days was the trip?
So I went Tuesday, and the training was 2 days, and then I came home the third day. So it was like 2.5 days of work and travel. So not too long, but too long. I'm grateful I don't have to travel for work. And then my mom and grandma stopped in yesterday, got to hang out with them for a bit before we went swimming. So that was nice. That was a fun surprise. So
that is fun. Is swimming really good for like Emmeline's joints, or because you guys have been going a lot lately, or did you just buy like summer passes or something?
In our town, we have an outdoor pool, and so it's nice. It's just so hot to do anything. We don't want to do anything else outside, and so we might as well go swimming. And Anders loves it, and so I think that's mostly why.
Oh, that's fun.
We are having a birthday party for him next week.
I can't wait to hear about it and your experiences with planning a party.
I'm not looking forward to it at all. Invitations are already out. I just got to get snacks and water, and then I have to hurry and decorate, I guess, before everybody comes, which is going to be interesting because I only have the area for 2 hours. And so I don't think I can get in there before our time starts. So
just bring something that's already decorations. Like go grab some helium balloons and tie them to a couple of the chairs and have everybody wear one of those little paper hats or something. Then boom, decorated.
So you've got our obscure holiday.
I do. Let me tell you guys, this one I'm looking forward to celebrating. On Sunday, August 20th this year is National Bacon Lovers Day. So I love bacon, and luckily I passed that down to one of my children. Clark loves bacon too.
What? Lorenzo doesn't love bacon?
Lorenzo likes it fine enough, but Clark loves it.
Yeah.
If people are like, you're eating bacon for every meal, why? You can be like, well, it's a holiday. Happy Bacon Lovers Day. There's some fun
10th piece of bacon.
Yep. There's some fun trivia I found about bacon. In 1980, Hardee's was one of the first fast food companies to add bacon to their menu. on their burgers. So Hardee's is also in the West as Carl's Jr. 70% of bacon in the United States is consumed at breakfast time. When I eat bacon, it is at dinner or at lunch. So I am that 30%. 268 million Americans consume bacon annually, and the amount of bacon produced in America each year exceeds 2 billion pounds.
Holy Hannah. That is a lot of bacon.
So celebrate National Bacon Lovers Day by eating some bacon this Sunday. Enjoy it. Bacon's great. It's one of my favorite smells. Not on a person, though. I don't want, like, Kyle to come smelling like bacon. But
Yeah,
happy Bacon Lovers Day, everybody. Thank a pig or a turkey if you eat turkey bacon. You're doing another acronym, aren't you?
I am, because it's so fun to see what Emmeline comes up with.
I stink at them, though.
It's fun. So your acronym is WALL-E, WALL-E from the movie WALL-E.
Oh,
So,
no.
Emmeline, what is this?
Do you know I've only watched
for?
Wall-E once.
Oh man, I've watched it so many times I still couldn't remember.
Oh, okay. Wired, analog, logistical, laser, electroman.
Electroman. No. You guys should see her face. It's so fun.
Wonderful, awesome lad lingering on Earth.
You got the Earth part right.
Wiring, aerospace, linguistic, lunar, earthling.
Nope.
Ugh.
Waste Allocation Load Lifter Earth-Class.
Ah. Yeah.
Okay, so you have our good news. What is our good news about today?
Our good news is about John Cena. For those of you that don't know, he is a wrestler, WWE superstar. And the reason I want to talk about John Cena today is he is the celebrity that has granted the most Make-A-Wish wishes.
Interesting. So, like, a lot of people want to see him or do something with him, and he's like, okay.
Yes, and he says yes every time.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, the Make-A-Wish Foundation grants a wish to children diagnosed with a critical illness. The reason why they do that is the wish can spark a little bit of hope in them that helps the children believe that anything is possible and gives them the strength to fight harder against their illnesses. The reason why this foundation started, there's a little boy in, I think it was Phoenix, Arizona, who was battling leukemia. And he wanted to be a policeman when he grew up. And so his community came together and they gave this boy a day at the sheriff's station there and let him dress up. He had like a little sheriff's hat. He sat at the desk, and this was back in 1980. And
oh, dang.
Today, Make-A-Wish has granted hundreds of thousands of life-changing wishes to children battling critical illnesses. Wishes that give families hope through dark times, strength to persevere, and experiences that forever change their life. So, John Cena set a world record last year for granting 650 wishes, which was the highest amount ever done by a celebrity.
In 1 year.
No.
Oh.
That's just
up to that year.
Up to that year. Last year, he was given the award for granting the most. It wasn't.
Gotcha. Okay.
In 1 year. That would be a lot. Mike, he wouldn't have time to do anything else. But what's really cool is he's the most sought after celebrity too. But maybe it's because he always says yes. Here's a quote. He says, "I can't say enough how cool it is to see kids so happy and their families so happy. I truly want to show them that it's their day. I just drop everything. I don't care what I'm doing."
That's amazing. And I love how creative they get with these wishes, because sometimes I think one kid wanted to be an astronaut. So, of course, they're not going to send this kid up to space, but there's the training that they allowed him to participate in and do those kinds of things. And I love the creativity. And even that is like so moving for these kids. Like you said, it's so life-changing.
It is. Now, because I have a terminal illness and the life expectancy for someone with cystic fibrosis wasn't very long. And so when I was a kid, I got to make a wish. And I had all these, I was like, okay, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I meet somebody famous? Should I, And what I really wanted to do was go on a trip. But my oldest siblings had already moved out. They only covered the family that was at home. So my older siblings couldn't participate if I wanted to go to, say, Disney World or go to a trip to Italy, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to Venice, and I wanted my whole family to come.
Who would that have been at the time?
It would have been Jonica, Tim, and me. So Kendra, Megan, and Ben would have been excluded. And I was like, I want them to be all of my siblings. So I decided against that and I asked for a computer, and they went above and beyond. They got me not just a computer, they got me like all the stuff that goes with it. I got a printer. They got me a really cool desk and a chair and a portable CD player and a laptop port, and
nice.
It was all the gear. But yeah, I thought about meeting a celebrity or doing all the things, and it's kind of like what do you do? But it was really cool. And the Make-A-Wish Foundation, they are creative, and they do make these special experiences for kids. And so I'm going to have a link in the show notes where you can click on it and donate to this wonderful foundation if you want to help make these wishes for kids come true. And yeah, we aren't John Cena, but we can contribute in that way and make things possible for kids. It's a great foundation. So if you're looking for something to donate to, it's a good one.
That is a good one.
And thanks, John Cena, for making a difference for a whole bunch of kids.
Good job for not saying no.
Yes. You want to do the quote?
How about you say the quote?
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You cannot just go around eating anybody you want to. I have no idea if I did it at all, like how he says it. So,
I don't either. It's been so long since I've seen it, but you did good.
Thanks. So there you go. There's your quote. See if you can guess what it's from before the end of the show.
All right, so we are going to talk about Hidden Figures. So spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet and don't want to hear people talking about it and giving things away, you can move on. And we're happy that you stayed with us this long. But if you don't care or have already seen it, then let's get into it. We're going to summarize it, talk about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it. We're going to talk about the top 3 historical people that we admire. We're going to give it a 0 to 5 if it's mom approved, and then our tally board. So yes. Emmeline's really good with the summarizing of movies.
Am I? I feel like we've had some hits and misses so far. So yeah. I'm trying to do better.
Well, I'm impressed you took it on, so.
This one, I was like, this one's easy. In 1961, Katherine Goebel Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson. They are 3 women who were hidden figures in NASA. They were computers, which is women that computed numbers. They worked for NASA to get the first rockets launched, the first computers working for NASA, and helped engineer and build the spaceships that got our first men into outer space. And so you kind of follow along their journey and their experiences in that year of 1961. It's an amazing movie, guys, and I knew nothing of it It came out several years ago. I was just oblivious to it for whatever reason. Things that I really liked about it is getting to know these women, the problems they dealt with and their lives and the cool stuff that they accomplished. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
For me, one of the parts that I really love is their perseverance. So Dorothy is the one that is the one that manages all the ladies. And so she talks to the character, Kristen Dunst, I can't remember her character's name, saying, you know, I'm doing the work as a supervisor. Can I get paid? She's like, no, NASA takes forever. That's just the way it is. Just kind of is like, you just have to deal with it, just like everybody else deals with it, kind of thing. Kind of just brushes her off. But you follow the story, and towards the end, like, she works hard to get to where she became a supervisor. And she actually stayed on with NASA for longer. At the end of the movie, they tell you what happens to these ladies, and all three were honored with NASA. But with Dorothy, she goes to the library to get information on the computer language that IBM uses so that she can kind of figure out how this giant computer that they got and nobody knows how to use to get it to working. And she tells the ladies that she is not officially a supervisor for to learn how to use this computer. She's like, computer is advancing, technology is advancing. We are going to learn how to use this so we don't get left behind. And I love that part. And I love Catherine. She's the mathematician. I loved her journey of her perseverance, of all these limitations she kept getting put on her, and how progress is so hindered from people's pride and their things that they know that might not actually be true. She wasn't allowed because it was the time of segregation. They're still trying to move away from it, but some states held on to them longer than they should have. And she had a specific bathroom that she had to use. So she had to run back and forth anytime she needed to use a bathroom because it was half a mile away from where she was working. And she wasn't allowed to drink the same coffee, and she wasn't allowed to see the actual information she needed to make the calculations. And the information was changing so frequently that any calculations that she made, any verifying, it was already bad. I mean, she just hit roadblock after roadblock, but she kept going and she kept finding ways around it. And there's more parts of her persevering that I'll go into that I like. But all three of these ladies, even Mary, the engineer who just was really good minded that way, and they had everything going against them, but they always found ways to work within the limitations that were given them. Not their limitations, but limitations with the ignorance of others or the rules that were set in that time frame. But another thing that I just thought of was the Polish guy, because he's like, you need to go to school, and she's like, that's impossible. And she's like, I'm Jewish from Poland, and I got away from Germany, and I'm here working with NASA. Nothing's impossible. I think for me, for this whole movie, that's what stood out to me the most, was the perseverance of these women and how strong they were, and kind of had to be for this time that they were working in, where Black people were considered unintelligent, and women weren't allowed to do certain things because it wasn't normal. And that's what I liked about it, was their perseverance, that they didn't just roll over, that they actually fought against the system and they found ways around the limitations that were given them.
Yes, that was really good. I wanted to comment on every single one of those. So with Dorothy, there's one point where she is in the bathroom with Kirsten Dunst's character, and she's like,
because this is after they were allowed to go in the same bathroom.
Yes. Kirsten Dunst's character says she can't do anything, and it's nothing against y'all. Dorothy's like, I know, and I know you probably believe that. And I was just like, oh, burn. Because like really, if Kirsten Dunst's character really stood up, and I think that was just something that they didn't realize what they could have done. All the people that could have stood up for all the separation that was still going on, all the stuff that was still happening, that they could have made a difference or been that pushing factor or got a ball rolling in some sort of way.
Or even questioned why things were the way they were.
To make people go, huh, yeah, we should change that. Because it was what Dorothy said. She's like, I know you probably believe that. Because in her mind, she was like, yeah, I can't do anything. But how hard did she really try? You know?
Did she even
try?
Fight for her? Probably not. She just accepted it, that was the way it was. And I feel like that was a theme throughout the movie.
Yes.
It is what it is. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
Everyone who was white was like, why question it when that's the way it is? And it's like, but that's not right.
Yeah. Hard to watch those parts. And you're just like, oh, gosh. This isn't right. Like, these are people. And you aren't treating them the way you treat other people.
I like when Catherine meets Mr. Harris. I guess he's in charge of everything because he's got a lot of clout and a lot of...
He's the head of his department, yeah.
Yeah. And so they're talking about Catherine like she's not there. And I can't remember who says it. She's good at math and she talks too. I think it was the secretary of Mr. Harris. And he goes, oh, really? And Catherine is, I can speak and I'm really good at math. And just that interaction. I didn't write any quotes down. That whole interaction, I just loved how... They're just talking about her like she's not there. And then she's like, yeah, I can talk. She's also a really timid, shy person. But when it's worth standing up for what she believes, and she stands up.
Yes.
And if she's fed up with it, she'll let you know. Like, she doesn't keep cowering and just get bowled over. She'll tell you.
And I think that was a quality they had to be in the positions they were in. They kind of had to fight for those things. And it probably made so that all those changes could happen because of the type of things they had to deal with.
Yeah.
One thing that you said about the women in general, that they kind of were just looked down upon because they were women. Well, Catherine ends up starting to date this National Guard guy, Jim Johnson. And he's really cool. But right at first, when he finds out what she does, and he's kind of talking to her about it, and he's just like, you do what? You're a girl. You can't do that. So even within their community, men didn't think women could do it. Like Mary's husband at one point was like, you can't be an engineer. You can't change the world.
She's like, oh, yeah, I can. Watch me.
So it wasn't just about race, it was also about gender. So they had to fight two things, which would be even harder. And then Mary, she's a stickler. The other two are more polite about when they're standing up for the things that they want to happen. But she's no nonsense. I'm not going to pretty up my words when I don't agree with what you're saying. And I kind of liked that about her. She was kind of just like, I'll tell you how it is. Whether you're a white police officer or whatever. She just treated everybody the same.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things I wrote down when they're all standing in line, all of Mr. Harris's team. And the black women are on one side and then everybody else is on the other side. And they're talking about the astronauts. And Mary says something about the astronaut being attractive. And the other ladies are like, what are you talking about? Stop that. And she goes, I have a right to see fine in all color. Another favorite part, Mr. Harris is befuddled at why Catherine is taking long breaks. And he's like, everybody else is working hard, and here's this person slacking off and taking long breaks. So Catherine comes in from just getting wet. She's like, you can kind of tell she's fed up with it because she has to run to her building to go to the bathroom, and it's raining. And then she comes back, and he's like berating her for slacking, you know.
He's like, how come you take 40-minute breaks twice a day?
Yeah, and she rips into him. She's like practically yelling about crap coffee that no one else will drink from, and she has to go half a mile just to go to the bathroom, and she's like, I have to wear pearls that I don't even own a pair, and then she just walks away. And then the next scene you hear metal hitting metal, and it's Mr. Harris knocking down the sign that reads Colored Ladies Room. And after he knocks it down, he drags it off with him. But before he does that, he's basically saying, all bathrooms are white and black. In NASA, we all pee the same color. Which then allowed Dorothy and Kirsten Dunst's character to be in the same bathroom to have that conversation that Emmeline mentioned. But I love that part, how Mr. Harris, for the most, like, he doesn't care. Throughout this movie, he just wants to get crap done. He wants to get an American in space. He also berates Paul, who has just been nasty to Catherine. He's her supervisor. He's the one that redacts information. The first time he hands her the stuff, he's like, this has been checked by 3 different people and myself. It's correct. But here you go. He is so butthurt that she's there to help. And I get it. It's hard to swallow your pride and just realize that you're all on the same team. Sometimes I feel like that is a huge part of why it takes so long for progress, because so many people's egos are in the way.
It's true. Have you ever been in a situation where you are in the wrong, you know you're in the wrong, and your child corrects you?
Oh, no. I haven't had that yet. I hope I don't, but I probably will.
Oh, you will. And when your little boy comes up to you and says, Mama, you shouldn't be yelling at us. You should be treating us like Jesus would. And you're just like, oh.
Oh, man.
But in those instances when you're angry or when you're upset, you do not want to be told. And at least for me, my personality, I have a hard time hearing correction in the moment when I'm angry, because it just makes me angrier. But when it's coming from such a loving little heart, ooh, yeah. And you're just like, those are the times when you put yourself in the corner. You're like, I have to go have my little time out because Mama's making bad choices. But man, that's hard. But yeah, I think you're right. That really slows progress, is that people's pride keeps them from admitting wrong.
Paul treats her better after he gets berated by Mr. Harris, but it's just sad that he had to have a conversation.
Yes. You mentioned the running back and forth to the bathroom that's way far away, over half a mile away. I had a question for you. Have you ever had to really all out run in high heels?
I have run in heels before. It is not fun, but I can't think of anything recently. But my work trip, I wore wedges that are actually more comfortable than heels. But still, if I walked for a length of time, which Denver, Colorado airport is huge. I don't know if it's bigger than there's one in Texas. I don't know where it's at. It could be in Dallas. That's really huge. It has like a bus that you have to take to
go to the different terminals.
Yeah, but I went with a friend that I met there to her gate, and then I walked to my gate, and I'm like, why did I do this? This was so dumb. So towards the end of the trip, my feet were on fire. Not as bad as I thought, but those were the only things I brought. So anytime I had to go out or do anything, I was in those heels. And it was not fun. What about you?
I have one pair of wedges. That's it. Because I think I do not walk well when I'm in heels. I think I look like a baby deer. So I don't wear them. All of my, fancy shoes are either flats or boots. When I'm not wearing my brown boots, I'll be wearing those brown wedges. And, living in Wyoming, I don't think I wore my wedges at all. And so I do not have practice. So I was watching her run and I'm like, I don't think I'd do that. I'd fall. I had a bad experience on my very first date. It was to a dance, and I wore these nice heels and this pretty dress. It was to a winter wonderland dance or whatever. We were coming out of the gym. It was at the school gym, and you had to go downstairs to get to the parking lot. And I fell on my butt because I can't walk in heels. But I popped right back up. My date turned to look at me and he's like, wait, did you just fall or did I imagine that? And I was like, no, I fell. He was like, you popped up really fast. I'm like, yeah. And I'm really embarrassed right now. So after that thing, I tried to just stay away from heels.
Yeah.
I don't remember if you remember this, but at Cinnamon Tree, there was an apartment, the apartment 55 girls.
I do remember them.
They had a pair of heels that they got from a thrift store, Deseret Industries. And they were big so that, if boys wanted to come over and try out what it felt like to wear heels, they could put on these hot pink heels. And I was there the one time Kyle tried them on. I walked around with heels and he's like, how do you do this? And I'm like, I can't do it.
Was this before you guys were dating?
Yeah. So, yeah, heels suck. And watching her run in heels, I was just like, she probably had blisters on her feet. Or it was.
Oh, yeah.
That must have been miserable.
So another thing that I liked, they're at a church function and it's after the church service is over and everybody's eating and they're talking about the new National Guard that's in the area and this is the first time that Catherine meets Jim Johnson. And so Mary, Dorothy, and Catherine are at the table getting food. And then they start talking about this gentleman. And I love the part how Mary and Dorothy are waving him over to the table. And Dorothy was saying, he's coming over. And Catherine's like, he is not. Don't you tell lies. And Dorothy goes, well, Mary is waving him over. And just that whole interaction, like, I love that.
While we're on the theme of Jim, the part where he proposes was so cute.
It was.
He shows up to dinner and Catherine's girls are all dressed up nice because her first husband had died from cancer. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's mentioned in the story. I think I looked that up because I was researching the characters, but the girls are all dressed up nice. And she's like, what's going on? Did I miss somebody's birthday? And they're like, no. And she's like, is it my birthday? Because she's been so busy at work. They've been having extra long hours and everything. And they're like, no. And so she sits down and then he walks in and she's like, what is going on? And then she sees the little fancy box on the table and she's like, oh, she knows what's going on now that he's about to propose. And it's so cute. And he starts telling the story about how his ring is from his mom, but it's good luck because my parents have been married. And one of the daughters is like, how long had they been married? And he's like, 56 years or whatever he says. I don't remember. And then girls are like, and tell her this and tell her this. So they knew all of what he was going to say. It was really cute. But he was like, I'm sorry this isn't more romantic. And I was like, he has no idea. This is like so romantic. And she's like, I do. And he's like, I haven't even asked you yet.
And at the end, they actually mentioned that they were married for 52 years. Mm-hmm. I thought that was awesome. I loved it when the astronaut, Colonel John Glenn, him and his other astronaut group of guys were meeting everybody, and everybody was ready to pass the group of Black women. But he goes over to say hi to them, and I love that
Shake
part.
their hands. He's like, I'm not done shaking hands yet.
Yeah. For him, everybody, just like with Mary, he treated everybody equally. So I loved that part.
Yeah. It's the human race, not blacks and whites. So I'm going to say my very favorite part. Mary has to go and present her petition to go to the all-white school so that she can get her extra classes. So she shows up at court and presents her petition to the judge. It's just the best scene. I didn't want to quote it because it's so good, and I think me quoting it would take away from it. But if you guys haven't seen the movie or just want to rewatch parts or want to rewatch it, that's my favorite part, is where she talks to the judge about getting her to go into the school. Oh, it's so good, guys.
So good. That is a good example of pleading your case.
And Dorothy at one point is sitting there with her boys when she goes and gets that library book to learn the IBM language. She's sitting there with her boys on the bus, and she says, as long as you're doing what's right, it's the right thing to do. And I love that because that's true. Like, if you are making good choices, even if it goes against what everybody thinks, if it is a good, right thing to do, you should do it. And it was a good little mother-son lesson, and I really like that because I have 2 boys, and there's some good lessons. So those were my very 2 favorite parts.
I do want to ask you and our listeners, if you were born at that time, how do you think you would respond to the segregation that was going on at that time?
I would love to say that I would just do all the right things, but I don't know how I would have. Like, I have good parents and they raised me good, but I don't know because of the world and the way it was then. I can't put myself in it because my brain's from this part of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could stick my
yeah.
brain in a me that was raised then, I'd be just fine and I'd be doing all the right things. But I don't know.
Yeah. I'm the same way where, I mean, there's certain things that my certain family members have said in the past that's kind of racist, but I don't know how racist they are. So hopefully that would not have played a factor. But yeah, I'd like to think that I would be like, yeah, this isn't right. I'm going to be on the side of what would Jesus want me to do, essentially. And I think I would probably be, because with my personality, I don't like to cause problems. And so I would probably, unless someone called me out and they'd be like, oh, I am doing this the wrong way, let me maybe fix it, or I'm just going to avoid this more, or I'm just going to run away. I don't know. Since we have our current mindset and not them back then.
I have another funny story I'll add to this. So me, with my oblivious mind, I guess you could say, one of my favorite words in high school was, this might
Cracker?
come off really awful, guys, and I'm going to apologize beforehand, but I was naive and I had no idea, okay? But one of my favorite words in high school was monkey. And I thought that it was because I think monkeys are cute and fun. And so when somebody did something that was funny, like my friends, I'd be like, oh, you're just a funny monkey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And one of my companions was black. And we served in an area that had a lot of black people. And I had no idea that the word monkey is derogatory and not a nice thing to say, but my companion would do something funny and I'd be like, oh, you're such a funny monkey. And she'd laugh. And man, I was so stupid. And we went and taught this family, and they were black. And the little kids came in. I'm like, oh, you're just cute little monkeys. Oh my gosh, Kindy. And then when we went home that night, my companion told me, she's like, so,
You got to stop.
And I was like, I had no idea that I was just
Insulting them?
insulting people left and right.
Oh,
I had no
yeah.
idea. I felt
Yeah.
awful. So I apologized and I told them I had no idea, that family. And my companion, she thought it was a hoot. Her name was Kim. She was great.
Well, probably because she knew it wasn't coming from a place of hate. It was,
it was a place of naivety and ignorance.
Oh, you know what? I was so naive. I remember dating a guy who had, I don't even know if it's called dating because I think we just hung out a couple times or something. I can't remember, but he had a Confederate flag flying in the back of his truck. And I mean, I was from Arkansas and I didn't think anything of it until now. I'm like, oh, because that was for the South and the South wanted slavery. And so it goes, I was naive in the fact that, and we never talked about race or anything. I, barely remember him, but I remember that flag and being like, oh man, I should have asked him about it or like been more aware. But yeah, I was naive and like, oh, okay, he likes that flag. Yeah. History doesn't play a part in my world.
Oh, so maybe
it
we
happens to all
would
of us.
have been like Kirsten Dunst's character because we would have just been
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Yeah,
We're
doesn't affect
naive
me
and
right now. Yeah.
this
We have
is.
no idea what's happening in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Sad.
But anyway,
maybe this will help us be more aware and
educate yourself,
proactive.
listeners. Try
Yeah.
and be aware and inclusive and
Yeah.
just show love to everybody.
Yeah. Okay, what did you not like about this movie?
I did not like how Paul treats Catherine.
Oh yeah.
That was my least favorite part. Because he belittles her. He really just
hates that she's there.
Yeah, he hates that she is there. He hates it. And
Whether or not she's like a woman or that she's black, you never know. He just hates the fact that she's there.
That other woman that's the secretary, he never treats her that way. And so
but she's not a threat to his intelligence.
That's true.
Because at that point, it's standard that women are secretaries. They're not anything more,
But she's a computer and smarter than him, and he has a hard time with that.
Yeah. Until he gets berated. So that's one of mine, along with something I just realized with how long it took Mr. Harris to berate Paul, because he had seen him mistreat her for quite a while.
Yes.
And it finally took him, I don't know, maybe his character, because I didn't pay too much attention to when he was paying attention and when he wasn't. So technically you could say he was just really focused on getting an astronaut into space, but I don't know, looking back, he might have seen it a couple times and it's like, you were proactive in these other areas, but not in this one. So.
And he could have been one of those guys that I talked to him about it in this situation. It will carry over into all situations,
Yeah.
Now we're going to go over who our top 3 historical people we admire are. One, and I was like, Kindy, I think you're going to probably say this one, so. And that is Jesus. Jesus Christ is probably one of the most influential people in my life. Then I have Joseph Smith. He was a prophet for our church. And then my last one is Florence Nightingale. There were these books we had as kids, my family had, and one of them was The Power of Courage. And it was the story about Florence Nightingale. And the writing was purple, so maybe that's, as a kid, why I read that one all the time, because my favorite color is purple. And so maybe that's what drew me to it. But her story is powerful. She was this woman who made the nursing program what it is today.
Well, that's a good one. I like that you have Jesus Christ on there. I did not. So I did Rosa Parks, who stayed on the part of the bus that she was not allowed. So she stayed in the front because it takes a tremendous amount of courage to stand up for what's right. And I just love that. And it's probably because we watched Hidden Figures that she popped up in my mind. Mm-hmm. Then Joseph Smith is another one. So we've got him. He's another one who has had courage to stand up for what he believes in. And then Abraham Lincoln. I actually read a book about him. I haven't read all of it, but he actually had a hard life because he was so tall, which was not normal when he was alive. And he had bouts of depression And so he just had a hard time, but he stood up for what he believed in and what he thought was right in the fact that man should be created equal and that he was fighting against slavery.
That's good.
So, yeah.
What's your star rating, Kindy?
I would do a 4 just because I wouldn't always be in the mood to watch something like this, but when I do, it's just so powerful and motivating, and you feel good that it worked out well for these ladies and that they got the recognition that they deserved.
Right. I love this movie, you guys. But when I watch these historical movies that are based on actual events and are very powerful and teach you good lessons, I can't watch them all the time. I can watch them once, maybe every 10 years. So in that, the rating for me is a 3. It's an excellent movie, and people should watch it.
There you go. Yeah. And I think for me, I've watched this more frequently than 10 years. So, and this is one where I just love the characters, and it's just cute and good to watch and motivating, encouraging with all the courage that goes on. So mom approved.
So I'm all for anybody watching this one.
Yeah, there isn't anything inappropriate. There's life lessons and discussions you could definitely have after this movie.
It's free and clear for your kids to watch. So
yeah, it's got enough historical information that you can discuss with your kids. I mean, I don't know what's being taught or what's not being taught in school because I don't have a kid in school yet, so I'm about to find out. I mean, it's got tons of stuff. They mentioned Martin Luther King, and that's one of the things I do love about this movie is that they show the historical footage of filming the rockets. I think they even show, I'm trying to think, there was a movie where you saw a historical clip of the Freedom Riders is what they called themselves, where they were riding the bus. I think it was this one. Kids were interrupting, so I was still listening to it, but I wasn't watching it, so I can't remember if that was part of it. But that is one thing that I did really enjoy was the historical footage that they included in the film.
Yes, it was really cool. And at the end, the historical pictures of the people that were portrayed in the film, which is fun. Okay, now we got our tally board. You ready for this, Kindy?
I'm ready.
Okay. How many times the word NASA was said?
10?
14. This one I was like, this is subjective. Lorenzo and I were watching it together, but he was like, oh, Mom, did you get that impressive moment? And I was like, yes. So I called it impressive moments. So there were 19 impressive moments, I thought.
Oh, nice.
Okay. How many times do you think Russians were mentioned?
Probably less than NASA. So 10.
12.
Oh, okay.
All right. How many times the word sir is said?
Well, I know Catherine says it a lot in a conversation with Mr. Harris. 25?
53.
Dang. Yeah, I was very low. That's a lot.
It is.
In the military, they tell you, talk to civilians. When you talk to civilians, it's ma'am or sir. And so I remember getting out and even in the South, like it's very proper and polite to say sir or ma'am. And
yeah.
So, but yeah, there were moments where it was like, this is excessive.
Holding cups. How many times was a character in the movie holding a cup?
I love that this is one of them. 17 times.
Close. 14.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 15. But...
How many bathroom runs were there?
Of Catherine? Well, she was pretty much the only one that was.
She was the only one that showed it. Yeah.
7.
4. But I counted there and back, so
okay.
As one bathroom run. The movie title was not said in the film. Nobody says Hidden Figures at any time.
They don't. I was actually surprised. So I wonder how little there are movies that don't say the names in the movie. Next episode, we're going to talk about Venom.
Yes. Dun dun dun.
So prepare and watch a Venom. You can take that out.
I liked it. We would love to hear from you guys. We asked some questions during this episode. If you have some input, you can email us. You can look us up on Facebook. So if you have comments, if you want to give us input of a movie you want us to review, just let us know. All that information's listed in the show notes.
Help us grow. Tell others about us. Share something you learned. If you'd like to be a part of our world, reach out. We'd love to have you. We'd like to thank Red Productions for the music, for Emmeline putting it together in the way that she did. It's great. For Jonica for the logo. It's awesome. We love it. It's super fun. And we are thankful for our listeners. Mostly Emmeline did, me and her, like, this is fun for me and you, but we do enjoy feedback from our listeners to be able to find out how we can get better or what subjects we can talk about. And so we really do appreciate you.
Okay, so this week, Clark and we play Transformers together. He has all these little Transformer guys, and we play with them. And while we were playing, he had Optimus Prime. He was saying to one of the other Transformers, and he does this cool voice when he's Optimus Prime, "You need to help me find my long-lost lab partner." And I was like, "You're long lost? What?" And he's like, "Lab partner." I was like, "Who's that?" And he was like, "It's Megatron." So Optimus Prime and Megatron were lab partners.